Because so many of you liked it when I talked about Milton Berle and Steven Seagal's ill-fated appearances on Saturday Night Live,
This is what happens when you poo-poo.
the Masters of Fate thought it best that next, I tackled Chevy Chase.
Good evening, I'm Chevy Chase.
Oh boy. In terms of what the audience saw on stage, I stand by my belief that Steven Seagal was the worst host that the show has ever had. But then when you consider what happened behind the scenes instead of the content itself, then that honor goes to Chevy Chase, or as I like to call him, Saturday Night Live's cruelest host. And if you're wondering what exactly makes him the cruelest, if you know anything about Chevy Chase, you might have a pretty good idea. But if you don't, let me tell you the story. Our tale begins, as most tend to do, in the year 1975. A brand new show called Saturday Night Live hit the small screen, and it was a pretty big hit. People all around the country tuned in week after week to get some of the biggest laughs around. One of the cast members, though, seemed to make a bigger splash than all the rest. Chevy Chase. Whether it was because of his comedic timing, quick energy, or seemingly likable persona, people couldn't get enough of this guy. It was not too long until Chase got some offers from Hollywood, meaning that his time on Saturday Night Live was coming to an end. When season 2 rolled around, he missed the second and third episodes apparently due to an injury, though some sources would later claim that this was actually due to Lorne Michaels wanting to test the waters and to see if Chase's regular sketches would work without him. While there were some outsiders, mostly audience members, who were sad to see Chase go, the cast members, on the other hand, couldn't see him leave fast enough. They hated this guy. He was always rude, condescending, and quite the show-off. It seemed as though Chevy Chase thought he was better than everybody else, and decided to let everybody know that that's what he thought. For example, there was apparently a meeting between Lorne Michaels, Chevy Chase, and Chase's Weekend Update partner Jane Curtin, where Chase said something along the lines of, "Jane, let's face it, you can't be on screen with me at the same time." Then suggesting to Michaels that Curtin be bumped from the sketch, leaving it all to him. Yeah, needless to say, they weren't exactly friends. Once Chase left Saturday Night Live, Bill Murray was put on to replace him, and sure, there was some growing pains involved, but in the end, everything came out to be a net positive. That is, until mid-February 1978, when word got out that Chevy Chase would be returning to Saturday Night Live as that week's guest host. Needless to say, the cast wasn't exactly thrilled with this announcement. Chevy Chase is coming back, and with an even more inflated ego this time due to his rising star status? Oh no, we're doomed! According to Chase, he couldn't resist coming back to Saturday Night Live since, apparently, it all started falling apart after season 2. Needless to say, it needed him in order to get good again, even if it was just for one night. If there were any cast members on board who thought that Chevy Chase might have changed his ways since leaving the show, they were quickly proven wrong. The minute he got back, Chevy Chase was back to his old tricks.
We'll be right back after this message.
The two people most displeased with Chase's actions were apparently John Belushi and Bill Murray. Behind-the-scenes sources state that Belushi was consistently egging Murray on to be the frontman for the case against Chase. Then one day, Murray broke and decided to tell Chase that everybody hated him. What he was doing to everybody wasn't funny, it wasn't constructive, he was just, simply put, being a jerk. And then, it got ugly. Chase and Murray began firing back, making fun of each other's marital issues or facial complexions. And the sniping continued all the way up until showtime on February 18th. Chase being Chase couldn't let Murray get the last laugh, so naturally he decided to take things way too far. He challenged Murray to a fistfight in Belushi's dressing room, and sure enough, it came to blows. It wasn't until Belushi himself had to separate them that they finally stopped. As the two were being escorted away from each other, Murray apparently shouted back at Chase saying, "Medium talent!" Chase had no time to retort. He had to accept that he lost. It was his time to go on stage and start the show. The audience didn't suspect a thing. Nothing really seemed all that off, except for a couple small icy moments between Chase and Murray, but those were hard to pick up on, especially at the time. When discussing this episode, Jane Curtin had this to say.
It was that same kind of tension that you would get in a family, and everybody goes to their corners because they don't want to have to deal with the tension. It was uncomfortable. You could understand, there were these two bull mooses going at each other, so the testosterone was surging,
Yes.
and stuff happens.
Naturally, given everybody's negative experience on set, Lorne Michaels decided to step in and prevent Chevy Chase from ever coming back on the show. Nope, that didn't happen. Not only did Chase make some frequent cameos throughout the next few years, but he became a seemingly annual host throughout the mid-80s. During these hosting stints, he would do things like tell Robert Downey Jr. that his dad was burning in hell, or going up to openly gay cast member Terry Sweeney and telling him to start licking his balls.
Lick, lick, lick my balls!
And speaking of Sweeney, if you didn't think that was enough, Chase also pitched an idea for a sketch where Sweeney plays a gay man with AIDS, and then they weigh him throughout the show. Yeah, an AIDS joke in the 1980s. A little too soon, don't you think?
How many sex partners would you say you have in a single year? Between 0 and 5, between 5 and 15, between 15 and 30, or more than 30.
To be fair, Lorne Michaels didn't think that was funny either, so he forced Chase to go to Sweeney directly and apologize, but Sweeney claims that the apology he got was far from sincere. Chase thought that what he said was legitimately funny. Once again, Michaels didn't ban Chase and continued to have him on infrequently throughout the years. But then that all changed in 1997. Another new cast and another new batch of fresh meat. Apparently, this is the era where Chase was acting the worst. Whether it was because of his fading fame or the failure of his talk show after only 4 weeks, Chase was seemingly out to get everybody. Nobody was safe from his quote-unquote jokes.
Thank you, Lorne.
He would ask female writers for hand jobs, he would constantly poke and prod everybody when they told him to stop.
Please.
All right.
And then, allegedly, these problems all came to a head when Chase slapped Sherry O'Terry on the back of the head. Now, I had to preface that with allegedly because while this is commonly spread around throughout the internet as the reason for Chevy Chase's ban, there doesn't seem to be any actual source to back it up. There's just people reporting on the urban legend.
In 1997, he returned to host SNL, where Will Ferrell said he told a female cast member to give him a hand job, and he slapped Sherry O'Terry on the back of the head, so he was banned from ever returning.
So, maybe this happened, maybe not. I wouldn't put it past him, after all, he has slapped other people before.
And he slapped me across the face, like really hard.
Contrary to what many sites like Screen Rant might have you believe, Chevy Chase is actually not banned from Saturday Night Live, even to this day. Lorne Michaels himself has gone on record saying that any sort of claims are just stupid. But if you're wondering why Chase has never hosted again since, Lorne Michaels will tell Chase that apparently he's too old to be on the show. Though, as Chase rightly points out, to this day there are several guest hosts even older than he is that get to come on the show. Simply put, Lorne Michaels doesn't want to ban Chase. They've been through so much together and he can't turn his back on a friend. Sure, he'll prevent him from hosting ever again, but he'll still extend the offer for a cameo whenever the timing seems right. Even if Chevy Chase is very open about how much he hates the new stuff of Saturday Night Live. Honestly though, same. So, at least to me, it seems like the reason Chevy Chase was never formally banned from the show was because, well, as the old Hollywood cliche goes, he's friends with the producer. Powerful friends can do powerful things, including overlooking all the terrible things he would do. Maybe it's just the way I'm interpreting things, but it seems like Lorne Michaels is very eager to make excuses for Chevy Chase's behavior. He says that the reason people hate Chase is because of his comedy, how he's mostly trying for shock humor and that was okay back then, but now it's a different era where that doesn't age all too well. So that answers the question. Yes, Chase legitimately thinks that slapping people on the back of the head or sexually harassing people is funny. This is also backed up by numerous cast member accounts stating that whenever Chase would be cruel to somebody, especially later on, he would usually follow it up with a smile and a laugh, clearly thinking that what he said was hilarious. Michaels says that the comedy doesn't age well, But keep in mind, when he was a guest host in 1978, people didn't find his antics funny back then either. Heck, they didn't even find them funny when he was on the show back when it first came on. You know, back when that humor was apparently popular? There's an old saying that when you play a joke on somebody and only the person who puts the joke on is laughing, then it's not a joke. Keep in mind, I love offensive humor, like Drawn Together, man, that stuff's my jam. But again, those are actual jokes, that's humor. Chase was not using legitimate humor when he was interacting with those behind the scenes. What's especially strange to me is that there have been other people who've been banned from the show for a lot less. Like Frank Zappa, who switched songs in the middle of his performance, or Milton Berle for just not using relevant comedy. Though with that being said, whenever Chase does come back on Saturday Night Live, it's always very brief.
Please welcome back to Weekend Update, Chevy Chase.
I guess it's because Michaels knows that no matter how much he might like Chase and how much he might be loyal to him, nobody else seems to feel the same way. The closest you might get are Dana Carvey, who said that Chevy Chase was the only person to console him when his show got canceled, or, funny enough, Bill Murray. Yeah, Bill Murray and Chevy Chase are now great friends due to appearing in Caddyshack together. So, yeah, I guess make of that what you will. But no matter how many times people would object to Chase's actions, or punch him in the face, or report him to the higher-ups, he would never learn his lesson. That's because he didn't want to. Chase is notorious for having an overinflated ego, so naturally, he's not the one out of touch. It's everybody else who's wrong. And it's not gonna change anytime soon. He's still doubling and tripling down to this very day. Even for more recent events like, let's call it his misbehavior on set for Community, he's still Chevy Chase. And be warned, because apparently he's quote-unquote still a legend around there, Lorne Michaels' words, not mine, you never know when he might be coming back for a cameo. Uh-oh. So that, my friends, is the tale of Chevy Chase, Saturday Night Live's cruelest host. Instead of going on and on and on some more in this outro, I think you can sum everything up with this Bob Belcher quote here.
But there's a line between entertaining and annoying.
Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? What do you think is the worst thing that Chevy Chase has done, both during Saturday Night Live and during his career in general? That AIDS thing, man, like, again, I love edgy humor. Like, I don't care if it's offensive or whatever. But that's just too much, you know? Like I said, a joke's not a joke unless everybody laughs. Can't forget, of course, the slap in the head. That was something else. Anyways, comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. And now it's time to thank our wonderful Patreon people, starting with our Masters of Fate. Chan 11, Drew the Stew, Elisamir Rogers Archer, Kev Messick, Platinum Bass, Quiet Chap, Ryan Williams, Timey, and Woody Woo. And now our executive producers, Albert Robinson, Blackjack, H.R. Huffman, Indiscreet One, Leaf Storm, Ravioli Supremo, Unkale, and who else but Zane. If you too would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then why not consider donating to the Patreon? There's a fancy little link in the description below for you to check out. And if you want to get more involved in the Media Mementos fan community, there's a link to the channel's Discord server as well. Feel free to stop on by and say hello. Alright folks, thanks for watching the video and I'll see you guys next time.